So hi guys, this is Kai Peter again from beautiful Munich in Germany, talking about the Lotus Exige S once again. Well, I've done an ownership review a couple of weeks ago, and now looking at it again, I felt it's a very good car for sure, but the downsides the car has and the downsides that I've experienced during my ownership maybe haven't come out so clearly in my last video. So I felt let's make another video and also tell viewers about what I think are the major downsides to the Exige S. So there's 5 points that I would like to mention here. This is first the balance of the car. Secondly, the limited slip differential of the car. Thirdly, the rev band the engine offers. Then the sound it produces, and finally the fuel capacity of the car. So talking about balance first. Well, of course, you would always go for a Lotus. Looking at the most drivable, the most direct car you can get. You want this intimate connection of car and driver to get the really trust of how it behaves, how it handles, and really feel the maximum performance and really feel it in your hands. Well, on the one hand, the car certainly offers this feeling. On the other hand, I've experienced that the balance of the car might get troubling for you on the search of really getting this direct feel and the really intimate steering and feeling to the car. Well, sometimes it's oversteery, sometimes it's understeery. There's a lot of movement in the car always, heavy braking, heavy acceleration, throwing it around. So it always goes back and forth, left and right, always shaking. So that can be really tricky and difficult to control. And also, you don't always know what the car is going to do next. So this trust and this intimate connection that was still there with the Elise. I've had the Elise SC before, and it really is this maximum level of perfection, and it's really the car from A to Z. It's really developed in a way that perfectly fits all together. Whereas you have the feeling with the Exige S, they've really taken the Elise platform and tried to develop it further into a more performing car, but with really limited effort, not really touching and renewing everything. So you have the feeling all the components and parts, they don't really fit together in the level that you would see it from the Elise. So it's not really this level of perfection here with the Exige S. So it's a little pity, but still it's enjoyable and it's very performing. The second one, also in terms of balance, kind of relates to it, but more in some special occasions. It's a limited slip differential. The problem is this car doesn't have one, so it's more an electronic kind of attempt for a slip differential, but it's not really mechanical and it's really not stiff, so it doesn't really give you the driving dynamics that you would expect and that you can get with a really hardware slip differential. So in tight mountain roads, accelerating out heavily, or in situations where you would like to go in a drift or power oversteering mode, the torque is always going left to right and the car is shaking and you don't really know what it's going to do. So you can not really have a nice drift and have a really nice stable power oversteering that you would like to have maybe. So this is, from my point of view, a downside, the lack of limited slip differential. Happily, fortunately, you can upgrade it. In that way, you still have to invest the money, but this is certainly a worthwhile thing to consider. Thirdly, in terms of engine performance, as I've already mentioned before, is always there, always available in every section of the rev band. It's always willing to accelerate and to rev, but then in the end there's a natural limit to the rev band. So above 6,000, not much is really happening, and then at 7,200 there's already the red line, and it's not really the high pitching, high revving sports car engine that you would consider maybe as a classical sports car engine layout. So which was true for Formula One cars until turbochargers came into play. The classical V8 Ferraris, the Porsche GT3. So this kind of really engine performance and engine rev band or engine character, this is not what you can really get from the Exige S. So it's turbocharger really determines in a way not only the performance but also the character. Even though being a very linear torque curve, very enjoyable to drive, but in the end you really have to be aware nothing much is happening. Fourthly is sound. Well, sound, it's very nice from the outside. The exhaust produces a nice type of sound. The engine itself maybe not so perfect as again with the just mentioned sports car examples. It's from the inside really not so nice, really not so perfect. Dominated by the supercharger screaming noise, but not really the sound that would fit the car maybe. So again here, an upgrade in terms of sport exhaust could be a worthwhile option. The sound as it is right now, I don't really think it's the perfect sound to the car. Also here, I would see my suspicion would be they tried to really build the car together with a limited development effort in sound engineering. They didn't invest so much time and money. So this is the result of it. So one of the downsides that I have learned for the car. And then lastly, fuel capacity. Well, the car drinks fuel like nothing, so 15-16 liters is always something that you would need to consider to have when driving appropriately. And of course, it's a Lotus, it's a fun car, so this is how you're going to drive it. Also, fuel capacity, the fuel tank is taken over from the Elise, 40 liters. For the Elise, it might have been okay with the fuel consumption, but for this one, you would really end up with a range that is fairly ridiculous. So always above or always at around 200-220 kilometers with my driving style. The light comes up and you have to refill, and this is then a little annoying. So you would always have to stop very frequently at fuel stations and refill. So at some point it just goes onto your nerves, even though you're not driving the car every day, but even in weekends, doing a small tour, quickly you can reach up to 100 kilometers, and then it's just a little annoying. So this is for me a major downside that the car comes with. So well, this is the things that I don't like so much on the car. So I felt the need really to tell you about it, so you can make up your mind already if this is something for you, or really look at those aspects in more detail when you are test driving the car. This is what I just felt was necessary to complete my ownership experience, my review of last time. So if you have any questions, anything in your mind that you would like to know on the car, feel free to add a comment, feel free to send me a message, and I will do my best to answer them. And until then, well, I think have a nice time and, well, enjoy all my other videos. Bye bye.